molested as a child. I was a very shy, fragile girl. The only ones I spoke to about it was with my sisters.
Oh, hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book. We're giving you guys Love Goals episode, I think 4 or 5, part 3. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click that bell button for notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you who are returnees, you ain't got the minerals, baby. You ain't got the minerals. Let's do it again. You ain't got the minerals. Say it again. You ain't got the minerals. Now you ain't got the minerals. Alright, cool. So, yeah, we're talking about obviously Althea and Benzino, and I think these two, you know, they're making great progress in the last episode, and then we get this, right? And we see Althea moving absolutely mad, unprovoked.
Made you sell drugs.
Are you serious?
Mad, unprovoked. Now, I know many people do not like Althea, and I can understand why you don't like her. I want to say this as well. I think the reason why she couldn't take to Anyala compared to Spirit is the way delivered, the way it's delivered. Anyala's way works for a lot of people, but there are people that it won't work for. And Althea is one of those people where it doesn't work for her. You know what I mean? But when you see with Spirit, it's completely different. We've seen her break down a few times, and we're starting to see a different side of Althea, because what Spirit is starting to do is starting to tap into that individual person, but also showing a love and showing a care there. And I'm not saying that Anyala doesn't do that. I'm just saying the shouting that she does. Look, some people, as soon as they shout, they block off. That's it. They block off. You know what I mean? So I think here with Althea, she's in a better place, also very mentally as well, to be able to have the discussion, because she's got a kid now. You know, so there are different factors that are contributing towards that. But I love the way that Spirit deals with Althea. Because Althea, if you do the thing that you're doing, you're getting shut down. Because for you to interrupt someone's thing where they're, you know what, Benzino might have come round and explained some things. But he was talking and saying, look, you know, I've already explained some things. And yes, he was being defensive. Yes, he wasn't being very open. But he was explaining his particular thing. And he will do it in his time. But then for you to sit there and say, but didn't you tell me your dad sold this? It's like, Althea, what are you doing? This is a man who's trying to also have his time. Like when you're talking, didn't interrupt. Don't do that. This is evil behavior. And this is very naughty behavior and very crude behavior. You understand? But I also have to put this, I guess, caveat. When she did it, I already knew where it was coming from. And I think that's the interesting thing. That she's actually very open booked. In the sense of when she does things, she's bait. So when she attacked him, the first thing that came to my mind was, why did she attack him? And I said, oh.
It's hard to do something with someone who it's a joke. I just wish that he would show up and be real for once. Like, just be honest.
Now, to us, it's mad to think that because we're being open, you know, if we feel like someone's not being open, to attack them and to say what she said. It is mad. But she has no filter. And the reason why she has no filter is because of the way she's grown up. She's grown up in a way that she's defended herself and said what she needed to say in order to defend herself. Actually, what she was doing was self-defense mechanism. And I'm not agreeing with it. It's wrong. Absolutely wrong. I'm just explaining you why the behavior is coming. Because if you don't understand why the behavior is coming, you shoot people, right? And we do that. And I shoot people sometimes as well. I ain't got time sometimes to explain it. And I ain't got time for Althea. Me, personally, I have not got time for Althea. You know what I'm saying? I haven't. Because I just think it's disgraceful, some of the behaviors. And I think we allow ourselves sometimes to do certain things and call it trauma. When really, what's happening is you're taking a piss. Yeah? You know exactly what you're doing. Right? Cool. Now, with obviously Althea, when she said it, I just said to herself, I said, she feels like Benzino's holding back information. That's the reason why she volunteered new information. And she felt like she was the only one doing it, right? Now, whether she felt tired about it, the fact that she was always being honest and open, I felt like, you know what? She took that opportunity to say, hey, you're not being honest and open, but I'm doing it. And it's almost a selfishness that comes to like, hey, how come I'm the only one doing the work here? I'm the only one doing the work here. I'm the only one doing the work here. And it was just, she's reverting back to her childhood. A child does this. You know, like when your parents tell you, listen, I remember my parents would tell me when we come back from shopping, put everything away. So we would put everything away. And then one of my little brothers or my little sisters wouldn't do nothing. And I'll be shouting at them, hey, come back here and put stuff away. What's wrong with you? Right? Because I feel like I'm the only one that's doing it. So I start shouting because I feel like I'm being cheated. It's a childish behavior. And so when she feels that she's been cheated, she launches at Benzino. It's not right. I don't agree with it. It's freaking evil. I'm sorry. But this is why she's here. Right? And so when we see that, when she's explaining her situation, she proved my point again. When I said to you guys about Benzino in the last few episodes, I said, when Benzino said, obviously, you're pretty, you're beautiful. She was like, but is there anything else? And we was like, oh, how can she jump on the wagon? And it's like, no, but I told you. Like, men get too invested in the focus of the outer shell that they forget.
Being too trusting, not really having a voice, and being looked at as a trophy.
Get that this person inside of the shell. Yes, she's a badass on the outside, but inside she's also a badass, and she wants you to recognize the inside badass. And when you keep on saying about the outer exterior, but yet you treat her like trash, you're reminding her, you're triggering what she experienced in the past, which is that men would be on her case in terms of she was 16, young, whatever. Men would like her for the fact that she's beautiful, but don't actually like her. So they don't show her love inside. Do you understand? They don't show love to her soul, but they like the outside. So again, when you mention the fact you're pretty, you're beautiful, it goes in, it triggers, and then she launches. That was that day. Alright? So that's what we heard from it.
I feel like looking for love in wrong places. And maybe not really knowing what love is. And thinking that something is love and it's really not.
What was interesting is that it's actually Benzino's behavior. So I know a lot of people will get excited about Althea's behavior and cuss it. What you probably didn't notice is, and I'm not saying that Althea even noticed. What you might have noticed is also Benzino's reaction. When Althea was explaining her situation about the fact that, she had gone through a process where men didn't really see her for her, right? Benzino reacted. He shifted his body position. Making a huff and a puff in the corner, shifting his body in response to her conversation because he felt triggered. He felt that she was talking directly about him, right? So she felt triggered, right? But the difference between them two is the way they exert that triggering. Now, she did a verbal attack, but for him, he did a body language. He showed non-verbally that he did not agree with what she was saying, and he felt like she was exasperating probably the conversation, and he felt like she was just doing too much. And that's his body. Look, you watch it yourself. So although she was worse off in saying something, I noticed also his behavior in reaction to her. It was interesting as well because Benzino felt like, Benzino obviously had discussed the issue with Spirit in the past and expressed what was triggering him. And, I do understand his sentiment that not wanting to explain to Spirit in front of the group, not necessarily the group, but maybe Althea, because maybe he felt like it'll be used against him. And it was used against him because we heard her say it, and she proved his point right. And, her behavior towards him, I can understand why he walked away. Like, when I'm sharing my deepest intimate moments, and I've shared it with you, and then you use it against me in a group therapy session, you're not a safe place to rest my head. You're not a safe place to want to be where I'm comfortable to feel secure in. I can't express my deepest, darkest thoughts because you are not a safe place. You are not a safe place. You are chatty, patty. And that's disheartening. That's scary. I don't want to come on a hard thing for Althea because both her and Althea and Benzino are mad, but there are things we need to address with Althea. You can't keep doing that. And Spirit even, I praise Spirit because of the way she handled it when Althea got up and left. How are you getting up and leaving? And I think she got up and left not because she was triggered, but I think she realized she was wrong. A kid that does something wrong and knowing that they did something wrong has to react in a certain way to almost put the shine back on them so they don't look bad. When you're looking really bad and you need to do something, almost like the kid washing the plates, to do something to kind of equalize it, right? And so her walking away, there was no need to walk away. Why did she walk away? This is not the first time she walked away, but why are you walking away? What? Because man wasn't honest about, man didn't open up about his particular life. And I've heard this sentiment, I heard this sentiment from one girl on social media, and she was talking about how white people can't say the N-word. And she said, look, we have wounds. I have a wound, you have a wound, right? Now, how I deal with my wound is me. If I touch my wound, that's me. If you come towards me and want to touch my wound, I have consent to ask you no or yes, right? What Althea did was press the wound without asking Benzino. That wasn't consensual. That wasn't consensual. And that's abusive. And that's evil. So whenever someone's got a wound, it's not your job to release them of that wound. They will be ready to release the wound when they feel like it. They'll be ready to heal from that wound when they feel like it. But you cannot then start dictating how they should come from that wound. You understand? It was interesting because obviously he did say obviously, you know, he felt he was loved and everything like that. But when he explained the story originally with Spirit 1-to-1, that's not how it really went down. He said obviously his father was in and out of jail and he saw a distorted type of love. So I was a bit, I wasn't confused, but I was like, I can, again, some part of truth to what Althea said, he wasn't being openly honest about the situation. And so, you know, that is something that Benzino's going to have to work on if he wants to really grow, you know, he wants to grow as an individual as well within this particular scenario. And I really believe that Althea needs a good friend. I think Althea hasn't got good friends. Surely. Because this is the type of thing where you shoot off the hip like this. You need good friends. Good friends are going to show you love, you know, in the season that you need it in the most. Good friends that you know you can trust and depend on. It feels like Althea's always been fighting, and even now she's fighting. Fighting to stay afloat. Fighting to have intimacy with anybody. Fighting to have anybody in her corner. I feel like it sounds like she's lonely. It sounds like she doesn't fully trust anybody. And when you don't fully trust anybody, that's loneliness. Because there's nobody you can actually release every part of information to. There's nobody you can depend upon. Which means you're always dependent upon yourself, which means you're always in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, anybody can get killed. Anybody can get hunted. Anybody can get finished. And that's why I feel Althea is at the moment. She's in survival mode. Survival mode.
It'll continue to be like this. I see the real you.
And you know, it was interesting because when Spirit hugged her, she began to break down and cry. Now, with Althea, she's very tough. Very, very tough. But Spirit is breaking her down in ways that we are seeing that there's growth happening with Althea. She has to. She hasn't got a choice. Because the way that, and the Bible says, heap hot coals on your enemy by showing them what? Love. That's why I said I can't do it, because that patience, I don't have it. You know? And even Althea even said, thank you when she left Spirit. So, you know, all in all, you know, watching the Althea and Benzino thing, I really believe that Spirit needs to have one-to-one sit-down conversation with Althea. We're really interested to see what Althea really says and feels and thinks. Because there's obviously something there, right? We believe that obviously that she could be healed from this, but I just think there's extensive work that needs to be done. And we haven't seen her one-to-one yet. We've seen, and I don't know if it's because Benzino desired it and maybe Althea hasn't necessarily desired it. But I want to see a one-to-one with Spirit. I want to see Spirit sit down with her, talk to her, and just get to grips of what really's happened to you. What's really kicked you? What's really hurt you? What's really got you into a place of being almost like a bully? What's made you feel that way? You know? And so, yeah, going from there. So, guys, yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I hope you liked what we did today. And, yeah, we will do more coming next week. Appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded. More love.